Here we go. It's the TRYLOSOPHY podcast, Boxing on the Go. I'm your host, Noel Muro. And here we go. I hope everyone's staying warm. Everyone is having some enjoying their holidays. We have Christmas coming up, and boxing has been no different. It's just been giving us more and more boxing at the end of the year. So let's get into it. We had Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua, Part 2, out of Saudi Arabia in Diriyah, out of the Diriyah Arena. Forgive me if I said that wrong, everybody, but that's what it looks like to me. So before the fight, Andy Ruiz came in about 15 pounds heavier, I believe, something like that. About 15 pounds heavier than last time, than their first bout. So, I gave the benefit of the doubt. I've seen scales, and I said this on the Leave It in the Ring podcast the day of, during the pre-fight broadcast with Leave It in the Ring of David Duenas. And yeah, we've all stepped on a scale before. When you go to the doctor, you have all your clothes on and everything, right? Right. So, versus when you weigh yourself at the gym or at home, out of the shower, no clothes on. And what did Andy Ruiz have on? He had a sombrero, a mariachi hat, right? He had all of his, some jewelry on, a necklace at least. I'm hearing, phone in pocket, probably wallet, pants, tank top, socks, shoes, all that. Well, I stated my case on that show. And, well, once the fight got started, man, yeah, he did look bigger. He definitely did look bigger, and he looked chubbier. It looked like, all fat. And, Anthony, going into that fight in the rematch, you got to adjust. I don't know what kind of adjustments Andy Ruiz and team were thinking of, if they were going to adjust or just keep doing the same, stick to the same game plan. But it sure looked like they wanted Anthony Joshua to square up in the center of the ring. Anthony Joshua, for months, there had been reports, there had been pictures of him compared from his bulked up, gigantic looking, like shredded, bulked up self versus a more lean version. It didn't look that much to me, but during the fight, during the weigh-in, the guy did look, I don't want to say significantly. Significantly is a strong word. But he did look leaner. He didn't cut his hair. That's fine. He didn't get no lineup, no fade, none of that. But that's besides the point. Maybe the guy just wanted to look. He was hungry to get those belts back. He was knocked off his throne. He was thrown off his throne. Anthony Joshua got the shit beat out of him that first fight by underestimating his opponent, by not preparing. It's not that he didn't prepare. They both had about 5 weeks. But, it was a late step in, but still, you look at this little, I don't want to say little because Andy Ruiz is not little. He's not that short. Well, he's like 5'11". That's kind of tall. 6 foot, 5'11", something like that. But to a giant of a man like Anthony Joshua, who's been retaining those 3.5 belts, world title belts, he was smaller, and the look of him was chunky. I knew that was me, and a lot of hardcore boxing fans. We all knew. We're like, oh, Andy Ruiz, that's a dangerous fighter. He ain't no walk in the park. The guy had only lost to Joseph Parker one time, and that was by a controversial decision. Never went down. Not in his career that I know of. So, what an amazing first fight. True Rocky story. You know, everyone was rooting for Andy Ruiz. At least a whole lot of people. Hometown hero, first Mexican heavyweight champion of the world in boxing history. What an accomplishment. But going forward, I mean, look, the man got paid millions of dollars. I don't know how many millions. I've not looked into that part. But he bought Rolls Royces. He bought himself a big house, a mansion, his mama house. I mean, if you were this close to retiring and you were not getting opportunities, but, you know, from what Bob Arum says and all this, you know, he just had a bad track record of trying to stay in shape, stay in the gym, and all that. Okay, that's one thing. But once you reach such an accomplishment like that, you're going to party. You're going to try to enjoy yourself because you might not see that again. You might not have that feeling ever again. So you want to enjoy that. I totally understand that. Everyone should. And there's a lot of us, myself included, I'm sure. Most people would say, oh, if I won the lottery, or if I just got a couple $1 million or something like that, well, I wouldn't change. I wouldn't spend my money all crazy. I wouldn't do. Well, you don't know until you have it. That's the bottom line. Okay? So, I mean, I don't blame Andy Ruiz, but I do blame Andy Ruiz for his own, for this loss. So, Anthony Joshua outboxed Andy Ruiz, and you know, once again, that's what should have been expected. That's what people were thinking that Anthony Joshua was going to do. If we all saw that on social media, on Twitter, and, you know, on all these media outlets, Boxing Scene, and, I mean, you know, DAZN, Chris Mannix, I mean, a lot of different reporters out there. Mike Coppinger, there's a lot of reporters out there that have been saying, I mean, that what he has to do in order to win is to stay on the outside and don't exchange with Andy Ruiz, because you'll probably lose or get knocked out again. And most people were saying if that happens, then he gets knocked out again, and he's probably going to retire. And Anthony Joshua did, at the end of the fight, mention, he said something along the lines, I'm not going to quote him, but something along the lines of, well, one day I'll write a book or something like that, right? And I will write down, or I will tell you guys how I was feeling during these, you know, during the last fight, after the last fight. But I'm not going to tell you right now what was going on through his head. So I'm sure he, at the end of his career, at some point later on in life, he's very still prime in his heavyweight boxing career. he will share with us. But not right now. So, anyways, Anthony Joshua outboxes Ruiz to regain the WBA, IBF, WBO, and IBO World Heavyweight titles. And the man gave Andy Ruiz all the props in the world, the first fight, for winning. Gives them props again. And Andy Ruiz, he gave Anthony Joshua some props. I'm sure he was frustrated with himself. Frustrated with the fight. Frustrated with a lot of things. And he asked the audience if they would like to see a third fight. And yeah, I mean, okay, but I don't think there's a rematch clause, and nobody ever mentioned anything like that. So I'm pretty sure there is no rematch clause. He made a boatload of money. Andy Ruiz should go and get hungry again. I mean, and not like that. Not like that. Don't get hungry like that. But, be hungry to get those heavyweight titles back, because you already know you beat Goliath. You were David and he was Goliath. Just how they said in that DAZN documentary, One Night. Right? That's what Mike Tyson said. And you know what? When Joshua did try to exchange with Andy, yeah, he got some punches in, but he also got clipped pretty hard. And I'm pretty sure, he stepped back and tried to outbox. He went in and out. But when he did get into little, the very few exchanges that he did have with Andy, he got clipped. You rewind that and you'll see. He did get clipped, and he did hit Andy too. Yes, absolutely. But he got clipped too, where I was like, ooh, this guy could get hurt right now, So, anyways, I think Ruiz will be back, and I think he's still a top 5 heavyweight, somewhere in there. If not top 5, let's just say top 7 or something like that. No, he's a top 5. I'm not going to back off of that. Okay? I mean, we'll see in his next fight. We'll see how he does in training camp. We'll see soon. We'll see. So anyways, pretty soon after the fights, the WBO orders Anthony Joshua to face Alexander Usyk, and the IBF orders Joshua to face Kubrat Pulev, right? So those guys are in negotiations. They're supposed to meet, the IBF and the WBO, to discuss who should be a mandatory. So, or one is gonna make one of the two is going to have to make a grant him some time to face one of the mandatories, one of the two. I'm sure they're not going to strip him. It'd be interesting if they did. That would be cool. I would like to see that possibly, but no. If Anthony Joshua earned all those belts, lost them, then earned them back, well, he should not be stripped. But besides that, listen, I'm a big Alexander Usyk fan, okay? He won the Cruiserweight World Boxing Super Series tournament, correct? Correct. Okay. So he won all those belts, and he became the undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world. Okay? But I have one issue here. Alexander Usyk, after one heavyweight fight, which was a stand-in because he was supposed to fight somebody else, now he's a... Now the WBO orders him, like he's a mandatory to face Anthony Joshua that has like 3.5 world championships. You know? I don't know. To me, that seems... what? That's frustrating. I don't know. How after just one heavyweight fight that grants you a title shot at the best in the, one of the best, the top 3 guy. Why? I think the WBO's out of their mind. I think I would like to see it also, but I'm just saying, who has been in line? Who has earned those types of title shots before Usyk came into the division? That's where I have this this issue, I guess, right? So, I mean, Usyk, I love you, man, but I just don't think you earned a heavyweight title shot just that fast. At least one more. Moving on. Terrence Crawford beats, I can't pronounce his first name, but I think I got his last name, the Machine Kavaliauskus, via TKO in the 9th round. Terrence, I believe he took some risk, and he got cracked a couple times. Got cracked. The Machine is a very strong fighter. I think he's a very talented fighter. He'll look. Put Kavaliauskus against Danny Garcia or any of those other guys in the PBC. Let's see how he does over there. With those guys too. They're obviously afraid of Terrence Crawford, or just Uncle Al pays them too much and also tells them, or maybe it's in their contract that don't be saying anything, and just make excuses. I have no idea, but for the life of me, I'm seriously thinking that Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., that fight never happens. Seriously. I seriously think that fight will never happen. I think there's a better chance of Wilder versus Anthony Joshua. I think there's more. I'd put my eggs in that basket versus Terrence Crawford versus any of the guys at PBC. If not, I think Terrence Crawford is going to have to follow in the steps of Mikey Garcia and Floyd Mayweather and Oscar de la Hoya and, sue Top Rank or retire and get out of his contract. And look, Terrence Crawford is in his early 30s, and if he does that also, are they waiting for him to get old too? I don't understand. If you claim to be the best, unify the titles. There should be one. There should be an undisputed welterweight champion of the world, because that is a fire division. Look. Who do we got in the top? Who are the top guys right there? Got Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, in no particular order either, okay? Because I'm not a Top Rank or PBC or any fans like that at all, right? I'm not a cheerleader for anybody. But Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao, Danny Garcia, if you want to put in Jesse Vargas against some of those guys. Jesse Vargas versus Danny Garcia. Jesse Vargas versus Keith Thurman. I think those would be great fights to make too. Mean Machine. You put that guy in there too. Sergey Lipinets. Why is that guy being blackballed? That guy's not... Sergey Lipinets, he just went up to welterweight, right? Not too long ago. He had a stand-in fight also. TKO'd the guy or knocked him out, I forget. But Sergey, I think he poses problems for a lot of those guys. Put him with Mean Machine. Fuck it. Put him with Danny Garcia or Keith Thurman. There's a lot of guys. The welterweight division is fire, and Mikey Garcia as well. Mikey Garcia versus Danny Garcia. You know, Mikey Garcia is gonna have a. Speaking of that, okay. Well, we'll get to that later, but we'll get to it right now. How about that? Mikey Garcia versus Jesse Vargas was just announced a day or two ago. Mikey Garcia versus Jesse Vargas on DAZN. I'm so excited for that because that is a really good test for Mikey Garcia. That is not a stand-in. Jesse Vargas is a 2-time world champion. The guy is a fucking fighter. One of the first guys to sign with Matchroom Boxing USA and DAZN. And look where DAZN is now after 1 year. They landed Mikey Garcia finally. Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua. I mean, it's not like those are new signings or nothing, but I mean, look at the fights. It landed Canelo, Triple G. You got, Demetrius Andrade. You have so many fighters on there. That place is, Eddie Hearn and DAZN and Golden Boy. I mean, they're making them good fights. They are. And us as fans, we should definitely be taking our hats off. I mean, all of boxing, okay? I'm not just saying DAZN, but since we're talking about DAZN right now, okay? So, I think that's a smart business move for Mikey Garcia. Is Mikey has signed pretty much a one-fight deal with the option to possibly make another deal. Because look, Mikey has been calling himself pretty much a free agent, He's been fighting on Showtime, PBC, and Fox, all that good stuff, right? So there has been a lot of talks of, Eddie has been trying to get him to DAZN, to Matchroom Boxing, okay? So, I mean, if you're Mikey, look at the type of money that DAZN can make you. Come over here, fight with us on our network, on our streaming service for one fight. You'll get paid great. You get promoted great. I think a lot of fighters have been hesitant. And you know what? And that's smart on Mikey's part as well. He's like, I don't know if this DAZN thing is going to be the real deal or what. But after you see, you get an Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua Part 2, a stadium. They built a stadium just for that fight pretty much. Yeah, they want to put soccer or football and a bunch of other events in that stadium as well. And they want to, of course, Saudi Arabia and Dubai and all that side of the world always wants to attract tourism. They're very rich over there. They have very nice attractions. Different culture, absolutely. But in order for them to land a world heavyweight championship boxing match, man, they were happy as fuck, okay? They were. So yeah. After a year, I see Mikey sees where he's like, okay. I'm not thinking for him, but if he's kind of on the outside when you see a new kind of investment or something, you kind of want to see where it goes first, because Showtime, Fox, HBO now they're out of boxing now already as well. All these other platforms, they're proven. They've been in boxing for a long time, and they will pay you. Uncle Al Heyman will pay you. He pays all of his fighters, but he wants them to stay loyal to him, and I don't blame them. I've talked to several of the PBC fighters, and Uncle Al takes care of them. So, which takes care of them, but I wish there was more cross promotion or letting the PBC fighters go that way or something, right? You know what really freaking kills me is when a fighter does not come in on weight, underweight. It's your fucking job, dude. I fucking hate that shit. Unless, okay, well, that's unless. But nah, not really. I don't give a fuck if you have a side job. Don't be in boxing. Don't be in MMA if you're not going to come in on weight. Shit fucks me up, man. It really does kill me. I used to wrestle when I was in high school. I know what it is to make weight. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been in high school sports or been former boxers or something. It is absolutely frustrating when, Chavez Jr., because this week, tomorrow is going to be Chavez Jr., and this is Chavez Jr. versus Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs has always made a weight, to my knowledge. Balloons, 160, but now he's going up to 168. Okay, that's a more, that's a more doable division for him that he can compete at. He comes in at 167 something. Chavez Jr. comes in at 172 something. Right? Why? Why even weigh in? What the fuck were you doing, man? And then your dad is Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.? Possibly the best Mexican boxer, best Mexican fighter that ever came out of, not even just Mexican, one of the best fighters of all time. Best fighters. And you tarnish your father's legacy like this. Come on, man. Because it's not just tomorrow. It's like you have a track record of this shit. Talk about papi de hijo, you know what I mean? I mean, hijo de papi. Ay, por favor, Julio. Anyways, well, that fight was, it was accepted, and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is going to have to pay Danny Jacobs an extra $1 Well, not an extra. He's just going to have to give him $1 million from his purse to Danny Jacobs. And then Danny Jacobs accepted the fight. Fuck it. He's that confident in beating Chavez. Okay, sounds good. I see Danny Jacobs winning that fight probably by knockout. Because Danny Jacobs can definitely put on the weight also after the weigh-in. And he's gone up to I think 175 or some shit like that. So we'll see what happens. Well, yeah, so. Oh! I almost forgot. Saturday, we also have Tony Harrison versus Charlo Part 2 for the WBC Junior Middleweight World Championship title. Okay. First fight was a controversial decision for Tony Harrison. I could understand. I did rewatch it. I did see Tony Harrison certainly outclassing Jermell in a lot of angles, a lot of rounds. You know, he was outboxing him for sure. Absolutely, I could see that, and I could see why judges would have liked that. But in part 2, going into part 2, there's been these guys have some bad blood. They do not like each other. Jermell does not like the fact that he lost that fight from the judge's perspective. I see Jermell Charlo TKOing Tony Harrison in the late rounds if he can get close to him, but that is my prediction for this Saturday. So, I do have a guest coming on this week, if not early next week. I'll give you a hint. He's going to be fighting on a PBC card, and he's been on this podcast before, and he is stepping up in weight. So I just want to thank everyone for their posts, their likes, their downloads, all that stuff. Keep doing that. The TRYLOSOPHY podcast is available on just about any podcasting network or app you can think of. iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, YouTube, you name it. I mean, Google Podcasts as well. So, thank you for supporting the TRYLOSOPHY podcast. I promise I'll be a lot more consistent with these things. So, it's been a rough year. Had a lot of things to do, a lot of moving and all that good stuff. So, my name is Noel Muro. Please follow me on Instagram. Not me, but the TRYLOSOPHY Instagram. It's at TRYLOSOPHY. And the website is up again. If it was down for a bit, it was under construction. So TRYLOSOPHY.com. There's also, you can follow me at Moruso, MORUSO 71 on Twitter. And you guys have a good night, a good morning, whenever you guys are listening to this podcast. And let's enjoy the fights. Goodbye, everyone.